On the day of that Mia drowned, we were just at a cousin's house and the kids wanted to go for a swim. Mia was walking on the inside of the pool on the safety ledge, just around, and she was really confident, especially where she could stand. She loves the water. But I looked down to make a bottle for my newborn. And in those short moments, the next thing I know, my older boy was calling out to me and saying, "Mummy, Mia was on the bottom of the pool." And he was holding her on the top of the water, and him and his cousin, and she was blue and lifeless.
People just ask what happened, and I just say, I don't know. And all I know is that she was left unattended at a friend's swimming pool, and she drowned from there. To this day, we don't know how it happened. I mean, the other little girl was found clinging to a pole next to the pool, hanging on. She couldn't swim. I often think, did that little girl get into trouble and Caitlin pushed her to the edge and maybe got exhausted or pushed down? I don't know.
Ari, up until the age of 3, was a typically growing normal child, very rambunctious and funny little guy. And he went on a holiday with his family to America to see his extended family and fell off a houseboat and drowned.
She was definitely not breathing. Her mouth was all purple. I drew on some knowledge I had of CPR from a course I'd done 15 years or so before, and started to do CPR on her.
Pulling up there, walking through the emergency, I remember there was the 2 paramedics were there that had brought Caitlin in, and you see like a sadness in their face. And then it wasn't long after that the doctor came back in and said that they were losing Caitlin. There was just nurses and doctors everywhere, and I just remember them just all like stepping back away from the table, and there was Caitlin.
She did start to breathe eventually, and she opened her eyes, but she was very, very glassy, and I just didn't know if she would make it.
The specialist at the time called everybody into a private room, and I knew at that point that the news was bad and decided that I couldn't go into the room, and instead I had become quite close to one of the nurses who was in charge of Ari's care in the ICU, and asked her to please tell me. And so she broke the news to me that it wasn't good, that it was extensive brain damage, global brain injury, through lack of oxygen, and that at best he would be in a persistent vegetative state for the rest of his life.
Then she started to scream and vomit really violently. In the moments following that, the ambulance arrived and put her on oxygen. Her oxygen was dropping rapidly and it was very, very low.
No, she didn't make it. It's like it doesn't sink in. I just remember, not even asking. I didn't even need to ask. She's mine. But just picking her up, and as I said, she was still warm, and it's like this isn't happening. It's not happening, and that, yeah, it was happening. I remember the ambulance guys coming up, the 2 paramedics, and you could just see the sadness in their face. I remember them saying, we're sorry, we did everything you could. And I still remember saying to them, I know you would have. So that had impact on them, and that. Worst day of my life.
With Ari, we really try to focus on not having a disabled life. We try to make everything as normal as possible and focus on his abilities rather than his disabilities, but make it accessible for him, obviously, because of the disability. So equipment-wise, we're always looking for the new next best thing that will give him access to his world. And then we always try to involve him in everything that we're doing.
When I see Mia now, she's a happy 8-year-old, and I know a lot of other people don't have as great an outcome as we have had.
I could have thrown in my job, become a hobo, could have turned into an alcoholic, and I thought, I can't lay down. If I lay down on this, I'm not going to get up. I just wanted to get it out into the community that toddlers are drowning. They're little people, and it's not just like, we had 3 toddlers drown this year in backyard swimming pools, and that represents X amount of percentage of people in the community. Their lives, their people, and we can prevent it. And I thought, well, let's get it out there.
After Ari's injury, my first instinct always was to find more information, and so I went straight to Google, and I honestly could not find much. There were a few statistics and a few bits and pieces out there about drowning and normally what happens, but only the two extremes were really what I could find, which was resulting in death or resulting in really no injury and the miracle survival story. The main thing for me at the time with Ari was to get him as much support as possible, and that's why I approached Royal Lifesavers. We sat down, had a really big talk about what we needed and what we would need moving forward, and a relationship was built through that. And now we're in a place where I just feel that as an ambassador, I want to provide that point of reference for people who are in my position.
So I chose to become an ambassador at Keep Watch because it's trying to educate other parents about how quickly and silently it does happen.
Luckily for Ari, the people who were on the scene knew CPR, and that is what definitely saved his life. But I don't think we would be in this position at all had his life jacket been left on. And that's just really the moral of this entire story, is that water safety starts from the beginning. It's not just knowing CPR, it's not just knowing what to do in the event of an accident, it's the prevention that is really key.
I mean, the message to parents and anybody that's caring for a child, and we'll go to toddlers because that's what we're talking about, is about Keep Watch. It's about constant adult supervision, and nothing will replace that.
The reality is that it's silent, and there's no splashing, and it happens so quickly.
There's going to be mums and dads that are going to watch this. Sorry. And they're going to be sitting there at the table tonight or at the breakfast in the morning, and they're going to have some kids, and there's not going to be a vacant chair because they took on board what Royal Lifesaving Society is saying with their Keep Watch campaign. Unfortunately, there's going to be families that are going to have an empty chair because they didn't, and it's like, you hear of a mum and they go, oh, my little one went to the grandparents for the week and I missed them so much. You imagine if that's for life. That's how important it is.